It is June 24th, 2025, and police in Wiltshire are asking residents to please report any crop circles. This is Inverted World Live. Welcome back, everybody. This is Inverted World Live, and I am your host, Shane Cashman. We are glad you're here. We are going to have a fun show. For those who don't know, this is a call-in show. Our phone lines will be open till midnight. We will try to get to everyone we possibly can. But if you want to call, the link to call in is pinned to the top of the chat on both Rumble and YouTube. It's audio only, so give us a call if you've got a story you want to share. We had some doozies last night. 3 in a row about people who've went missing in time, lost entire hours, and one woke up in a completely different location. Really wild story. So if you have anything, we want to hear about it, or if you have a thought about something we've said or that another caller has said, give us a call. And if you're skeptical about anything, give us a call. I am joined tonight once again by Alex. What's up?
What's up, everybody? I am sitting in the chair for Brandon Miner tonight. Hope you're doing well. How you doing?
Oh, man. So I want to get to this really quick before I forgot.
Okay.
Before we closed the stream, but after we said goodbye, we did get 2 super chats, right? From Drinky Crow. I just want to acknowledge that. Thank you so much for that. You said, Drinky Crow said, cool, bro. You have deep knowledge. Is he talking about me?
Hell
no,
yeah.
It can't be me.
Hell yeah.
Keep going. New Art Bell. Oh, that's very nice. Keep going. Free speech. I predicted I would win the lottery, 10 mil. And called times like Alex Jones. Weird, wild. And I think there was another one. Oh, yeah. What does that even say? I don't know. Do you remember what that says? SLA?
That last one?
Yeah.
I think he's like being cryptic.
Well, elephants built the pyramids. And I think that might be right.
Well,
that's as much as I can decipher from that message, Drinky Crow. That's a topic for another episode about elephants building the pyramids. I think that's the case.
Yeah, why not?
Who else would have done it, right? Maybe it was alien elephants.
Oh God, here we go.
Here we go. You had something run across the road last night? Was it Bigfoot?
Oh yeah, I'm hoping it's Bigfoot. Anytime I leave here, I'm like, come on, please, just Bigfoot, show yourself. No, it was like fat and not a deer. It was something.
Human?
I don't think it was human. No.
In these roads, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was like a possum or a raccoon. Who knows?
Remember that one time we left and it was just gunshots and smoke and fire?
I definitely drove through like a smoky patch last night, and it was like not up in the air. It was like low.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, that's a cloak for cryptids.
Oh, okay.
Fake clouds for the floor, so they can walk through undetected and go back to their trailer. You don't know about that?
No, I don't. But we do have a super chat from Grofty. Cash for the Cashman.
Sick.
It's a good reminder, all these super chats and Rumble rants, send us your money.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We love it, guys. You've been so supportive. We were just talking before we went live how the show is like suddenly felt like it's a different ship that we're steering. You know, there's a lot more weight to this ship because all you guys tuning in, calling in, it's incredible. We are so stoked to do it. The new time is really fun, despite the cryptids we have to drive through at night.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
It's a wild ride. And someone's asking if I was on drugs last night. I was not.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I wasn't. I wish I was.
We do have company drug tests, so
do we?
Did you pass?
No, I haven't gotten one yet.
Uh-oh.
I guess they trust me.
Reach out to HR. But no, the comments are great. I was looking at some comments last night. See, like some people say don't read comments. I find them to be illuminating.
Oh,
and
God.
I think they can also, you know, if I've said something, maybe if I've gotten something wrong and they give me a clue to go find out something that make my argument better, or, you know, something that they got wrong that makes my argument still better. I like being proven wrong or finding out something new for the immune system of my ideas. We talk about a bunch of crazy stuff and we talk about a lot of history. And I have a fraction of knowledge, and I'm just the more I learn, I feel like the less I know. But last night, one of my favorite comments was, why does Shane look like he's always decaying? Why do you think I film in a dark room?
Well, you sleep in a coffin here at work.
That's part of my contract.
And you have children.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's all of it.
Decaying, such a funny word.
That is so
I'm
funny.
like, I might put that on a shirt.
It adds up for you. I can't explain it, but it does.
Why is he always decaying?
But like, why are people so nasty?
No, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's cathartic. You know, I think it's good. It's good. I think bullying is great, but they just love us because now I'm
Yeah,
gonna
sure.
figure out how to decay less.
I just
at
think
least
like
postpone the decay.
yeah, it is definitely love. It's some sort of like jealous love.
Yeah, like hey, Shane's decaying. He should stop doing that. So I'm gonna try.
You're living, hunty. You're living.
But man, what a week it's been for crop circles.
Before we get there, can we
yeah.
also just say thank you to Timcast, Raid,
Yeah,
and anyone
yeah.
who's coming over from IRL. Thank you for being here. Please stay, hang out. It's going to be a fun night.
Yeah, we're going to talk about crop circles. But thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have a fun show. So for those who just got here, this is a call-in show. The link to call-in is pinned in the chat below on both YouTube and Rumble. If you've got a weird story, weird encounter with something you just can't explain, like last night we had someone call in who might have encountered a Wendigo. It was mimicking their friend's voice after mimicking, allegedly, other animal voices. Pretty wild story. We have no real theme, so anything goes. It could be sleep paralysis, Hat Man, abductions, you name it. Give us a call. We want to hear about it. So we will go get to calls in like maybe 20 or so minutes and be here till midnight. Last night we had a bunch of callers, and apologies to those we didn't get to, but I hope you show back today.
And I do see Danny, who was in the chat in the room last night, and we were having issues, so he's back. We're going to get to him.
Cool. So crop circles. What do you think about crop circles?
I think they're beautiful.
They are really cool.
They're really cool.
Honestly, I've never really been that into them. I always kind of wrote them off. Never really looked into them. I don't even remember the movie Signs. You just reminded me of the name of it. I was trying to think of it today.
As soon as you said it, I was like, oh, Signs. We need to wear our tinfoil hats and have our cups of water.
Yeah, I love that they even wear that in the movie.
Yeah.
So it must be a legitimate movie. So
It's funny that like Mel Gibson was in Signs and he was also in Conspiracy Theory.
I think Mel Gibson knows what's up.
Yeah, he knows what's up.
No, he's a good guy. So crop circles are in the news, which I forgot that was a thing. And I was looking into crop circles. I know very little. So I'm sure people listening right now have done a lot more research. And if you have, and you have some knowledge about crop circles, you should call in. And maybe I'll do a deeper dive at some other point. But they were in the news last week, and they continue to be in the news. And doing just a little bit of research today, some people believe that this is a way for some non-human life form, we'll call it, to communicate. And it just dawned on me that the circles they make did remind me of the whale bubbles the scientists are studying, as if that could help them communicate with aliens. Very interesting, and maybe there is something there. But they're weird. I never really gave them much weight, kind of wrote them off, like I said. But then I was looking at images, and there's some pretty insane images of these things, and there's new ones, and they're in Wiltshire. And we had this article from about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that I missed because I have not been following crop circle news in Wiltshire in England.
Apparently, it's like it happens there a lot.
It's like the
like
crop
the
circle capital.
Yeah.
Triple C. So this was in the BBC News, and it is from June 10th of this year. The headline goes, "People urged to report crop circles to police." That's what's up. Let's read this. A police force has asked people to report crop circles, warning that creating them without the landowner's permission is criminal damage, especially if you're an alien. That's not an article, but I just imagine that's what they mean. Reading between the lines here, people. Crop circles are a common sight in Wiltshire, with many created legally, but some are not, and Wiltshire police said they can cause short and long-term damage to crops and fields. Now, there have been studies I've seen, taken with a grain of salt, that there are strange phenomena that happen to the plant life that they also can't explain. They can't explain how they're made so fast, and they also can't explain, there's theories.
Yeah, they say that it would be impossible for like someone to do them in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and like some of them are so intricate. It's got to be like a huge conspiracy amongst the farmers to do it quickly, or there's something else. But the more I've been looking at them, the more interested I've become, because they're fascinating. So the force said, I love that there's a force for crop circles now. The force said they also attract other issues such as unlawful drone use, aggravated trespass, and theft from farm buildings. So people trying to get in there and film them. And there are some pretty awesome drone footage videos out there of these crop circles. While they might look impressive, creating a crop circle without the landowner's permission is criminal damage. These acts can cause serious I read that. Okay. Well, I don't know if the extraterrestrials are going to listen to this. And I don't think anyone's going to listen to this because there are a lot going on, far more than I realized. Landowners who find themselves with a crop circle on their land and do not want visitors to come and see it are being asked to make sure there are clear. There are clear no public access signs around it. So you got to get your work done. You got to go out there, farmers, and put up those signs saying, "Don't visit my crop circle." If they are happy with the public visiting, then they are responsible for health and safety on their land, so may need to get advice from their insurer. I would love to sit in on that phone call with their insurance. I'm not going to attempt to do an English accent, but it would be hilarious to hear them talk about their crop circle and like what the insurance guidelines are for that. Honestly, it happens so much out there, they might have some real answers already ready to go. Wiltshire police are urging people to report crop circles through their 101 phone number or online. If anyone out there is listening from Wiltshire, I would love to hear from you about what you think is going on, because it is very interesting to me, especially how intricate they are. And Alex, you found a video, right?
I found an awesome video.
Let's look at that.
You want to look into that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
this
guy
really
seems to
kinda
know.
gets into it.
This guy seems to know more about crop circles. He looks like a crop circle guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, friends. Breaking news. We have our first crop circle of 2025, and it is a beauty. So let's analyze this design, because there's more to it than meets the eye. And I'm going to leave this picture up for the duration of the video, because just looking at this is incredibly powerful. Let me explain. A year ago, I was down in Jupiter, Florida with Sarah Breskman Cosme. She's a protege of Dolores Cannon. She was in a deep trance, and she was channeling, and we were able to ask her questions, and she gave us real-time answers. And what I asked her about was about crop circles. And she said that crop circles are created by these plasma balls, and they're created by a higher intelligence to inject things into our collective subconscious. And that by just looking at the pictures of them, it serves as like a pictogram. This one simple symbol has all this embedded information, and by just looking at it, that information goes into your subconscious. But even if you don't look at it, by them kind of tattooing it into the surface of the planet, it kind of injects this line of code into our simulator and into the collective unconscious, and we all get it vicariously. But by also looking at it at an individual level, you absorb even more subconsciously. So just looking at this picture, you're getting the information that's embedded into it. That's very important.
Maybe we should warn the audience, don't look directly at this picture.
Or maybe you should.
No, I urge against it. I don't know.
It could be really good information.
I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking at this guy either.
I'll look into it.
Don't save
I'm
your
gonna
soul.
look him straight in the eye.
Do not look at the soul of this crop circle, the soulless crop circle. But before we get back into it, I do think it's interesting that these people are talking about orbs. Because we bring up a friend of the show, Ashton Forbes, quite a bit when we're talking about such things. And he talked about orbs, and I always have to say I'm not so sold on his video, but I am sold on the idea that we have been experimenting with technology like this, like orbs, and maybe there's something else that we don't know about, that we don't have, or maybe we learned it from some other place. But I like that they're connecting it to orbs, because I think there are reports that say there have been bright lights when these things like magically, mysteriously appear. But let's see what else this guy has to say.
The design. This design is beautiful, and it is a kind of a variation of the traditional Celtic knot. So the Celtic knot, the little squiggly in the middle, typically represents the eternal soul and the interconnectedness, and the circle around it typically represents the spiritual plane. Now in this case, it's not a circle, it's a square, and I have not been able to find this design anywhere. This seems to be a new variation. So let's analyze why it would be a square instead of a circle. Well, the square in esoteric world typically represents the material plane, the box that we're in, this sort of Maya, this illusion, this material world that confines us. And this Celtic knot representing the eternal soul is breaking out of that box, which is very symbolic. And what's it breaking out into? Well, it is breaking out into the spiritual plane.
Like a spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting.
Yeah. These aliens
that
also do
surrounds
yoga.
The box represents the spiritual plane. So our eternal soul, the knot, is breaking out of the square, the material world, into the spiritual plane. That's what this symbol seems to represent, just based on my analysis and my interpretation. I don't know for sure, but this is what I think. Now, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. But I think that this is super important, because I know people right off the bat will say, bro, crop circles aren't real. It's those drunk Irish guys that strap the boards to their feet. I mean, come on. We're looking at this crop circle right here from a bird's eye view straight down, and it is absolutely perfect. Do you have any idea how incredibly hard that would be for a couple people to do in the middle of the night, in the pitch black, on someone else's ranch? The guy who owns this land said he didn't do it. He has no idea where it came from, and he's freaking out. So this was done, if it was by humans, by the most amazing artists in the world. They did it. They don't want any credit. They don't want any notoriety. They did it in someone else's land in the middle of the night. No one saw them. No one
Real
has any
quick, can you
idea who
pause
they
it?
are. And they just did it
It
for
would
fun.
be cool, and something I'm going to try to do on this show, but I have not heard from a lot of these farmers. I'm sure there's interviews out there, but it'd be very interesting to like do a pool of a lot of these farmers and just
Who
get
just like
their
wake up in the morning and it's like a crop circle.
right. Like, and you'll see, like, are they lying? Like, do they really not know? Like,
Yeah.
are they not a part of some larger conspiracy to make these things, or are they genuinely freaked out and they have no idea?
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to gather like a bunch of them and just kind of look at them, analyze them all back to back. Anyway, let's hear
Fun?
the last bit
Come
of
on.
this.
It's not human made. It is made by something else, a higher intelligence. It is a pictogram that is full of information that is embedded into the surface of our planet to inject this knowledge into our collective unconscious.
I'm sorry, can you pause one more time?
And by us just
While we listen to him, do you mind looking up a Google image picture of the Golden Voyager record?
Yeah.
And then we'll get to that after this.
Okay.
looking at this picture, it fills our subconscious with the information. Somebody is sending a message to us. That's what these crop circles are. And I think that they should be studied and looked at and cherished. I mean, they're amazing. They're beautiful and they're full of information. And the fact that most people just simply don't pay any attention to them blows my mind. I think it's almost like an IQ test. There's this story of a long time ago when the Nina Pinta and the Santa Maria came, and these boats were coming up towards the shore, and the indigenous tribes, the natives that were on shore, had never seen boats before. And evidently, like, the shamans and the elders that were there saw them and were like, whoa, this is significant. But the other people had no idea. They just ignored it. They tuned it out because their consciousness couldn't even register it. They had no idea. They couldn't make sense of it. They had no context. And I think sometimes that crop circles are like that. I agree. There's a psyop, and we've been conditioned to think they're silly.
I'm sorry,
and
can
they're
you pause it
man-made.
again? I think there's another part of that story that I've heard, whether it's true or not, but I'll say it without looking up right now. But people have said, and this might just be like lore, that those people who tuned it out actually like it didn't register at all. Like, it was just part of the ether. Like, they couldn't understand like the technology coming towards them, these ships, that it made no sense, which is what a lot of people also say about the things we see in the sky, whether it's secret tech we don't understand or older stories before the tech we have today, where people saw things in the sky they couldn't understand. They did their best to make sense of it by the things they knew, but their imagination didn't go past that. Now, that's not everybody, but that was just some stories here and there.
But when you actually analyze it, they're so mind-blowing that I think the average person can't really fathom what they are, who made them, what they're doing here, and there's no context. So I think that crop circles are so extreme and so amazing that most people can't even wrap their minds around what they are or even begin to try to understand it, which just adds to the mystique of them. But I understand there are some hoaxers out there, and some have been proven to be hoaxes, but the vast majority of them are completely anomalous and unexplained. And when you really analyze them, there is no explanation for who made them, how they made them, why they made them, and the brilliance of them.
What do you think, Shane? Hoaxers or like other?
Could be both, honestly. It's just, so it made me think of this, hearing him talk, and what he was saying was kind of what we were saying just earlier about the way people see them as a way to communicate. If it's real, if it's like what they think it is, which I don't think it's ever what they really think it is. It's always something different, unless it's a hoax, because it also could be like a Banksy situation.
Yeah, they have said that.
Yeah.
Saw that
But the
article.
Golden Voyager record we made, and this is another way that they thought we could communicate with extraterrestrial life when we sent this up into space. And I just brought up a brief overview of what this is, but you see, for those watching, or for those listening rather, there are circles and weird shapes etched into this. And this is supposed to be like a language to decipher for some other life form to figure out. And what it is, I'm reading this. This is like the AI answer on Google, so could be hallucinating. But no, I actually know what this stuff is. I just need to refresh my memory. And it is intended to guide any extraterrestrial civilization that might find it. These include a pulsar map, instructions for playing the record, including a drawing of a phonograph record and stylus, and a diagram of a hydrogen atom, all encoded in a way that any technologically advanced species should be able to decipher. So you can see how this looks, and it's kind of like a theme amongst the way some of these people think they can communicate. also makes you think of the way the aliens communicated in the movie Arrival. Right? I love that movie.
I've never seen that.
Oh, that's a great movie, and it's beautiful how they are, but I believe it's like weird circles, right? And then you think about what we talked about last week with the scientists studying the whale bubbles, which sounds ridiculous, but the way they blew the bubbles up to the surface, they thought they were communicating and that it could teach them some way to speak with a non-human life form. So I don't know. So let's go then to the next article we have, where this one is the one from the Mirror, the mystery crop circle.
With the Joker face.
Yes. So this is the mystery crop circle with Joker face appears in field near Stonehenge, of all places. So this is in Wiltshire. A mystery crop circle has appeared just meters from Stonehenge with a giant design featuring a clown's face. Now, when I read that, I was like, well, if it is aliens, they understand that we are living in a clown world. And they're like, okay, this is like an emoji. This is going to be a sick emoji in a really weird place known as Stonehenge. The huge crop formation is located in a field near Bush Barrow, just a few hundred yards from the iconic Neolithic stones in Wiltshire. Incredibly, the design depicts a clown with horns on its head and features a scary-looking Joker smile. My other gut feeling when I read this was like, that's got to be a hoax. Like, of course, like it just seems too Spencer Gifts. You know,
right.
Like no offense to our Juggalo listeners, but this does look like something that would appear at a Juggalo festival, and I hope ICP is working on getting this on their merchandise as we speak. 'Cause it's just, I mean, it doesn't even have to be horns. You know, it could be like the jester hat, right? Unlike what the article says.
Yeah.
Expert Hugh Newman, who I need to talk to, who has been studying the phenomenon for years, has never seen anything like it before. It's a new one for me, he revealed. It's different from the usual designs. Some think it's aliens, some think it's people who make them. But crop circles are remarkable in their own way. They've been recorded for years, going back centuries, and nobody ever sees them being created. That part is crazy. They have been incredible geometric shapes and have been influencing culture for years. They're remarkable land art. They're like the Banksies of the fields. That's hilarious. I didn't see that part earlier. Crop circles appear usually overnight, often in fields of wheat and corn. There are many theories about their formation, which include earth energies, gravitational forces, and even extraterrestrial origins. The UK is a world hotspot for the mysterious formations. In the southwest, with Wiltshire and Hampshire leading the way, many enthusiasts believed they were caused by UFO landings. And shout out to the Mirror for still using UFO and not UAP.
Okay, but this website is terrible.
Well, yeah, I know.
No, I don't want to hear that.
They refused. I mean, that is a great clip.
Yeah, but like, I want to see like the crop circles.
He's talking about crop circles, actually. For those who are just now tuning into Inverted World Live, Donald Trump has said they don't know what the F they're doing. Those crop circles in Wiltshire. Nothing else has been going on in the world. It's just crop circles are the only news item if you're tuning in right now. So yeah, it is a hotspot caused by UFOs, some believe, while some said magnetic shifts were behind the phenomenon. That just, I don't get. But I will say, when I was looking into this a little bit today, it did remind me of our last caller last night. We got into cymatics just a bit.
Yeah. And
the way those sounds can create these patterns. And maybe that's what the orbs are doing, if you want to go down that route and think of it being created.
This one, too much
this one just seems like too much. Especially now that we have drones. Like you can, I feel like you could get away with a lot of things.
Yeah, but then if someone made this in someone's field, then I'm like, well, then they all do that.
Right. Then they could all be.
Yeah.
But they've been going on. I mean, there's so many reports from the early 90s. No, I don't know how far back it goes. I haven't gotten that far. But some scientists accepted. Oh, of course, this thing refreshed. Okay, this website is terrible.
Someone's saying it's an advertisement for Harley Quinn too. Brilliant.
This all of Inverted World is actually just one long commercial for Harley Quinn 2. I didn't even know it was a thing. Where did I go?
That's funny. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's a stupid website that just keeps refreshing for no reason.
I know. It's dumb.
Okay. I'm just going to pick up here. They have incredible geometric shapes and have been influenced. Okay. I read that part. I'm so sorry, people. Blame the UK website, Mirror. So some scientists accepted hoaxers and had created intricate circles, but said other simpler versions were formed by magnetic shifts. So they claim the magnetic fields give rise to a current which electrocuted the crops, forcing them to lie flat on the ground. that seems like a lot. I have an easier time believing it's non-human than that. But here we go with a name I might not pronounce. I'm sorry to Monique Kinkenberg. I'm sorry, Monique, researcher and founder of the Crop Circle Visitor Center and Expedition. You seen that? I'm going to try to clip all those together one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All your.
At some point.
Yeah.
For Christmas, I'll do that for myself.
Okay, great.
She said this in 2023. There are obviously man-made ones out there, but if you listen to eyewitness accounts, the unexplained circles have one thing in common. They were formed in minutes or seconds. There is definitely a mystery going on, but it's very hard to label the source, whether it's extraterrestrial, paranormal, or just nature. Wiltshire is so famous for the sites of heritage, and I believe the crop circles are attracted to those places. I do think that is definitely something to consider, but they are also magnets for people to do these hoaxes. Like I was just saying the other day about the guide stones, you know, that was kind of like the mini version of Stonehenge here in America that got blown up. The crop circle formed as thousands of people watched the sunrise over Stonehenge to celebrate the summer solstice. That's interesting. Also, could be hoax. You know, I don't know. This one I'm leaning towards hoax. You leaning towards hoax with this one?
Yes.
I am too. Signifying the end of spring. We know this. Those who gathered for the spectacle on Saturday at the Neolithic Monument braved. Okay, we don't have to read all this. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I feel like that she does make a good point. Some could be hoaxes and some could be something we just can't explain. You look at some of these and they are just insane. They're so intricate. I don't understand how they could be made that fast unless there's a lot of people in on it and they just pretend that they don't know about it the next day. So I'd like to hear from you guys. If anyone out there happens to be from Wiltshire or has seen crop circles in person, I would really love to hear from you. And maybe real quick before we end this segment, we can just hear that short video from the UAP crop circles message from
this guy here.
Yeah, this guy is from News Nation. I'm not so sure how I feel about this guy. I'll be quite honest with you guys.
This guy is an alien and a human.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I do respect that he covers this stuff quite a bit, and he's on board with crop circles. So let's see what he says. It's short.
But I actually suggest people go and have a look at some of the imagery on Google. Just Google it and have a look at it. There is no way you could construct something like these
crop circles.
What happened?
Bring up some other images of crop circles.
Sure.
Yeah.
Beautiful shapes and formations randomly in the middle of the night without lights. There are, people walking around Wiltshire and different parts of Shropshire looking to try and catch anybody that might be doing this. And one of the best things that I've seen is a video that does appear to show anomalous objects creating crop circles in real time. I think this should be taken seriously. It should be being investigated. Is something trying to message us? But
Okay.
So his accent does make me want to believe.
And he speaks very well.
Yeah. So now I'm a believer. So yeah, these are wild.
These are beautiful.
They are pretty wild. I would love to see an answer.
This looks
to
like
these.
an actual it's like a calling.
Yeah. Yeah, like that can't just take seconds. And some people are saying they literally take seconds. So I don't know. Let us know what you guys think.
Maybe it's like 3D printed.
Right? Or maybe they're underground.
Lasered on.
Yeah, maybe they tunnel underground and do something like that.
It's all those gophers. That's what they're. That's
it's
what's
gophers,
happening.
yeah. Gophers
They're just
are
like
really
pulling.
aliens.
Yeah. Just pulling the
Intricate.
grass under.
But it's by accident. Yeah.
It's like their idea of weaving or something.
I will say I'm taking these a little more seriously than I have before.
Really?
Some of them totally fake, obviously, but I'm not saying I think that they're extraterrestrial, but I'm curious. They're definitely
this is
weird.
beautiful too. Look at that.
They're definitely weird.
Oh wow! Look at this.
Well, you guys.
Yeah.
Let us know. Is that a real picture of the UFO?
Yeah, the UFO. Look how,
oh, they
look at
captured it.
that.
Okay, we figured it out. You saw it here first on Vertiworld Live. It was
Oh,
hidden in
God.
Google Images this whole time.
That's hilarious.
Well, do we have any callers?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So before we get to callers, for those who are just now joining us, we are open. Our phone lines are open. You can give us a call if you have a weird story. If you got an idea on crop circles, we want to hear about it. But we take all types of calls. Anything you've experienced that you think is weird, we want to hear about it. The link to call in is pinned in the chat below on both YouTube and Rumble. It's audio only. And we're going to get through as many callers as we can.
We do have a Rumble rant from Goose Nuts. Again,
my
thanks
goodness.
so much.
Awesome.
I've never heard of Billy Bob and the boys getting caught with some string and a board making super geometric shapes. By the way, it's just Goose, the trucker.
Sick. Awesome. Thank you,
Also,
Goose.
thank everyone coming over from Timcast. And enjoy the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, let's see. Let's bring in Danny. Let's see if...
We had a rough time with Danny last night on the audio end. But hopefully get it tonight.
Danny?
Making super geometric shapes. By the way, it's just
you got to mute us on your computer there, Danny.
Sick. Awesome. Thank you.
Danny, are you there?
Danny, are you with us?
I hope this is just a running thing with Danny.
Yeah.
We did hear his voice yesterday. Danny?
Hello.
We can come back to you if
he wants to tell his story so bad. Okay, we'll just put you back in the chat.
So, is there advice we can give him?
I don't
is
know.
Is it a microphone? Well, no, his microphone is working because we can hear us in the background. It's just a matter of
him figuring out Zoom. It's tricky.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Peyton.
Peyton.
And I'm sorry if I don't take everyone in the order in which you've come. Peyton, are you with us? Oh no.
Peyton.
Is it us?
We can sort of hear
Hello?
you. Hey.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Hello, Peyton.
Yes, hi Shane. This is Peyton from Houston, Texas. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's good to hear from you.
You too, buddy. I was asked if I could talk about Base 211, Antarctica. It's the only classified nation on the Earth. Is that what you want to hear about? Base 211?
I would love to hear about it.
Okay, well, first of all, it took me 9 years to figure it out that it's actually a real nation. It's the only classified nation, like I just said, and it was established as a nation in 1948. Peace Treaty of Operation Windmill 2. Again, hard to shit information to figure it out. There's a YouTube video called Secret Space Program Part 2, and the host is Jason Rice, a graduate of Florida Tech, and he proves that World War II did not end the way that we are told. To tell you the truth, it was a German victory very last end. They got tired of our shit. They got tired of getting their asses kicked all over the damn planet, and so we chased them all the way down to Antarctica, 1946, 47. And they basically said to us in their own way, no fucking more. So they won the last two battles that are still highly classified. Operation High Jump, 1946 to 1947, and Operation Argus. Operation Argus as late as 1958. We tried to drop a damn fat boy bomb on their asses in eastern Antarctica. They had 3 Haunebu flying saucers. That's right, anti-gravity, half human, half extraterrestrial technology. They saw us drop a fat boy bomb, and they caught the fucking thing with the tractor beams. And here's a bitch of it right here. That the 3 German Haunebus, World War II German culture, dragged it off way past out of the Milky Way galaxy. The damn bomb found its way back somehow to planet Earth, and this is a real bitch of it. That fucking bomb is still active above Earth, and you're pissed off about it, dude. Even the damn extraterrestrials hate that shit. So in other words, if no starship, human or extraterrestrial, will get their asses blown up by our fuck up in 1958, and have about basically half the moon blown up too, but because of our fucking stupidity, everyone, and I do mean everyone, extraterrestrial and human, has a dodge that damn bitch. It's a fucking pain in the ass, dude. Shit, it's our damn fuck up.
Where about do you think it is?
Well, it basically hovers, all over the, basically, either the side or the top face of the planet. So sometimes when you hear, NASA asks, do we have a window for the special to come in? Basically, what they're saying is that among all the damn debris up there in orbit, where's the damn fat boy bomb around? Because we don't need to fucking blow up the damn space shuttle if they run into a fucking 58 fat boy bomb that's still floating up there in orbit.
We can't use one of our space lasers to blow that thing up.
It's an idea. Here's the problem with that. Like I said, if we blow that damn thing up, if that thing hits the fucking moon, there's going to be too many fucking questions going on. So basically, Base 211, among other names, is a it's basically one of the most powerful nations in the world. And I'll talk about this part of the angle very little. But right now, Base 211, also known as the Fourth Reich, population of 8 million people in 2025. They're now involved in a Cold War against China. Who the fuck doesn't have a damn problem with China? Shit, man, even the damn even Nazis. I'll admit it. I'm a citizen of their nation. That's a long story in itself. I'm a citizen of USA and the Fourth Reich. But
we can't just gloss over that. You got to tell us how that works. That you have dual citizenship with the Fourth Reich and America.
Yeah.
Let's hear that.
I signed up for what I thought was a European heritage group, just a coffee and sandwich meeting thing somewhere in Europe. I had no idea that I was to be naturalized into another foreign nation. And this happened back in 018. When I discovered that, I pretty much, for the most part, I laughed my ass off at it, thinking that, Peyton, of all the crazy things that I've done in my life, this has got to be on top of the cake. I wasn't really mad about it. I thought, Peyton, you are one crazy fucker. You're one crazy fucker. But so be it. I accept it.
So what goes on? What goes on as a dual citizen? Like, are you expected to go to Antarctica? Is this why there's 8 million people in Base 211?
Exactly. Let's see. But basically, World War II did not hurt their influx or their immigration of several millions of hardcore Germans from Germany, and what kicked them in the butt to get them to go ahead and the Third Reich that became the Fourth Reich overtly is when they lost Russia. You guessed it, Russia, 1944. If I have my timeline correct, and most of the smart ones went ahead and they just vacated Europe. South America, but
hey Peyton, your audio is breaking up. Are you calling from Base 211 right now? Your audio is breaking up. Is it because you're beneath Antarctica?
Well, I didn't really hear half what you said, but
Peyton, we keep losing you.
My second nation, Base 11, has made leaps and bounds in progress in projects. We've got a few universities that we built. One of them is in the South Pole, in the middle of it. And the third one, believe it or not, is over there in our neighboring galaxy. The closest one to us it's called the Andromeda Galaxy. Now get this one. It takes them only 14 hours to travel from the Milky Way Galaxy to the Andromeda Galaxy in a Hanabu using telepathy. And the Hanabu and Andromeda Garrett starships. And that is correct. The do use telepathy to navigate their anti-gravity engines. Their tech is just unbelievably far more advanced than ours, but by a long shot. It really is.
Have you visited?
It's fucking you'll kick ass advanced. It really is.
Have you seen the city below Base 211?
All right. The truth and the answer to that is yes. I saw it. I saw it at about 10 20 miles down there, which means this. My second nation is to be left alone, but because one, they're too far down there, and two, our nation can fight. It's not a threat at all. It's not a threat at all. I know what I've seen, and they're a bunch of kick-ass Germans, and they don't give a shit of what the nations do on the earth, because their space exploration is several thousands of years ahead of us in tech. It really is.
So are they
And
not? Are they
and
not?
that's thanks to the ETs.
Are they supplying any nations with any technology right now? Like they've got one of your
No,
nations and
they're not.
Ukraine
They're
or Israel,
not.
Russia.
It's two things about that. They love the privacy, and honestly, they don't give a shit of what the foreign nations do to each other. They don't enjoy being told what to do, and where they can and can't, but build their buildings and the projects, across the earth, and they've been in that attitude ever since they were sent, out of Exodus, from Europe to find a new homeland in the South Pole.
Okay, how do you think they're gonna feel about you broadcasting this?
Oh, they don't have a problem at all. They don't have a problem at all. I'm actually a sergeant in their ranks.
Oh, congrats.
I'm also a published author. The represents them in my books. I've published exactly 62 books about them, and you can look me up on Amazon. I can give you my name right now.
All right.
It's Peyton, Peyton, Cottrell, Cottrell the second. Again, Peyton, Peyton, Cottrell, Cottrell the second.
So the official story about the Nazis going to Antarctica in 1938 was that they went there to set up a whaling situation for their margarine. Is there any truth to that?
It actually goes. You almost got that right. It goes back. It goes back further than that. So they were a whaling station for a long time, and then when they had the war started up, and it got worse, they had to transform the whaling station base to 11, among other names, New Germany and so forth, into another U-boat base, and so then they saw that they need to go ahead and actually basically establish a whole new Germany down there in the caverns of the South Pole near the hot lava. So therefore, what became New Germany, New Germany, and then of course, New Berlin, and several thousands to several millions. It became their mainstay. It became their new nation. There's a hell lot of information about them. And they're true. And like I said one more time, they are legally federally registered nation that's only classified one on the earth. But back in 1948, in the peace treaty of Operation Windmill 2, and that kind of information is extremely hard to find because if too many Americans know about it, it'll just piss us off. It'll just piss off Americans that the truth is that in the new data, in the new evidence, because it happened down there, they won, not us. They won, not us. On the very last hour, as we would say in America. Now here's something that'll make you smile. I don't know if you have a love for the Megalodon sharks. And you're probably one of these Americans who think, yeah, the Megalodon sharks are dead. Yeah, whoopee. Down there, they're not. There's still about 2,000. There's still about 2,000 Megalodon sharks that are swimming in Antarctica. Classified they are at 74 feet. And we placed two of them. One was pregnant, a sating. It takes them 3 years to give birth to sharks, but I've got a book about them called the Sea Center. It's one of my books on Amazon,
Amazing.
you know, they're huge, and they're doing
All right.
doing very well. We're
So
actually building a second classified facility in the North Pole, and we do a third one on the planet Sam, in the Andromeda Galaxy. But
what
like I said, we started moving most of our high tech into the Andromeda Galaxy because
off planet?
we got tired of China's shit.
Well,
We really did.
how do you deal with
The
China?
Chinese
Peyton,
are hot on
hey,
our
Peyton,
asses, and they know
the
about our
service is
tech,
bad in Antarctica.
and they have no fucking problem of stealing our technology.
All right, Peyton. Before,
And you can imagine why.
Peyton, before I let you go, what can you tell us about the bell?
Sir?
What can you tell us about the bell?
All right, the bell, that's real. I can't tell you where's it's being held. That's classified.
Tell us about it. Tell us
I
about
can
it.
say this.
Tell us about
It's
it.
in
Yeah.
America. It's in America now. I just can't tell you where it is. But it's definitely in America, and it is real. It's half human tech and half ET. It sure is.
And what does it do?
Well, it made it possible for my second nation to go ahead and achieve anti-gravity flotation.
That's not what I heard.
I mean, are you?
I heard it had other properties.
Possible. As a matter of fact, all that a cigar-shaped and Andromeda Garant is that back in World War II, the German sailors ripped out a diesel engine out of a U-boat, and they inserted an anti-gravity machine, and they turned it on, and voila, the damn thing floated. And so that's all that those giant cigar-shaped UFOs are.
I heard it,
They
but
are direct
Peyton, I heard the bell was for time travel.
Of U-boats.
I heard the bell was for time travel. What's up with that?
Sir?
I heard the bell was for time travel.
No, the Andromeda Garret is not really used for time travel. They're used for long distance flights from galaxy to galaxy, and transports of men or armies from galaxy to galaxy. Now, we do actually teach time travel in our University of Atlantis campuses.
Of course.
We used to have a University of Atlantis covert classified campus in the North Pole, but because of President Trump's a heated situation of wanting to do a land grab on Greenland, and the Chinese want to come in and possibly fight the Americans for Greenland, it's caused the University of Atlantis to be shut down because it's gotten too hot. It's gotten too hot up there in the Arctic. But we do have two other campuses that are open. One in the South Pole, and one at a place called the Silver Moon, the Silver Moon in the Andromeda Galaxy. Yes, I do know a lot.
All right. Yo, hey, Peyton, we appreciate you calling. You started this conversation by saying you were told to call in. Could you tell us who that was?
Yes, Evan King.
Okay.
He's a SAG actor from Houston, Texas, very well known actually, at least on local level. But he is SAG. You probably already know that is. That has to do with movies.
Are you an actor, Peyton? Are you
No,
also?
he's
an
a
actor?
sergeant.
I see there's an IMDb.
Ma'am, I hear a lady. Who's that?
Oh,
It's a ghost in the room.
she's from Base 210.
Yes, I'm 55 years old in Houston, and I have two jobs. I'm a real estate. I develop shopping centers with my dad, and I also sell books. I'm a published author, as I said.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you calling in, and I'd like to hear more. I have lots of questions. I want to make sure I get to other callers, but at some point you should call back, and we'll talk about. I have some very specific questions to ask you about.
I'll tell you what. I can give you my phone number here. It's really fast. It's 346.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
6939 again. 346 902
No.
6939.
Peyton, you don't have to do that.
On the west side of Houston, Texas.
Okay, thanks, Peyton. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
I am sweating.
I feel bad for the other callers because I honestly could have done 2 hours with that.
The chat's really impressed with your composure.
Oh, that is.
But
Peyton.
it says here he's known writing books about conspiracy theories, paranormal investigations,
He's
historical
real.
mysteries.
He's
been ghost hunting since 2002, and he does have an IMDb.
I mean, look, for those who've been listening, he did list off a lot of things we know about. I was a little upset he didn't confirm my biases about the bell, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's anti-gravity, not a time machine. I'd like to hear more about. Well, I want to put it out there.
I gotta say, he started off really upset and angry, and then he just kind of cooled
Imagine
off.
being a dual citizen and being a sergeant with the Fourth Reich, Alex. And it's tough.
It is.
He's busy, and he's doing all the other stuff. He's writing, and he's a realtor.
Actor, don't forget that.
And an actor. So I'd like to hear more from him.
We do have a couple of rumble rants. Libertarian Hawk, well, he definitely expresses the many uses of the word.
Yes.
Also from Libertarian Hawk, well, that certainly illustrates the diversity of the word. Boondock Saints. Also from MF Damien, Shane is a king for keeping his composure.
If we didn't have more callers, I would have Peyton on for 2 hours. Look, he didn't even listen to me.
No, he was on roll.
It's really hard to have a good connection. They had a better connection from the moon landing in the 60s to the White House than we had with Peyton in Antarctica. I mean, he said Houston, but it sounded like Antarctica.
Yeah,
from
that's
what I
you were
know,
imagining.
from the YouTube channel I've seen about Antarctica.
He really painted a picture.
And like the whole 8 million people thing. I mean, we were talking about flying saucers. And let's not forget, I don't want to gloss over the fact that he told us we dropped a bomb on them that they sent into space. That is now just floating around.
I can't believe you got so much from that. I was being entertained by the chat, so thank you, chat, and also thank you for Timcast raid.
Yup.
Also, that happened at some point. So
that must have been a crazy thing to walk in on. That conversation.
Yeah, for real.
We talked to Peyton about Base 211, which we have discussed on this show, I'm glad his friend told him to call in. I hope he doesn't get in trouble with his second nation, beneath Antarctica.
All right, shall we move on?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's, I don't know. Fraggy, are you with us?
They're from the North Pole.
Yo, what's happening?
What up, Fraggy? How's it going?
Not too bad. So my brother told me about you guys, that he recently started following you guys. So I just basically told me I should call him with the I guess the sighting that I had for UFOs. I don't know if you guys have specific topics you guys like to talk about at certain times, but I'd like to.
Yeah, the floor is yours. You can tell us whatever story you got.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I mean, when I was 6 years old, nothing special. I saw a black triangle. Like I said, in California, wasn't too crazy. But the second one that I saw, I think, I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I was in Laconia, New Hampshire, over by the old Burger King. Now it's Watermark. And essentially, sorry, let me back up. I'll give you a little bit of my background. I was in the military. I was a helicopter mechanic. So I'm very familiar with what jets sound like, and as well as experience with rotor wash. So obviously the downforce pressure from, I guess, hovering objects.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with that stuff. And so what had happened was there was a jet. Me and my mother were driving from Walmart down. I forget the name of the road, but we looked over and we saw a jet, F-16. It was about 50 feet off the water, and it was about I would say 50 feet off the shore, roughly. And I looked over and I could see the tail lights. And my mom, her first thought was, how is it going to make the airport? My thought was, how the heck was it gonna, how was it even flying? Because it was flying about 10 miles an hour. It was just creeping along, just like a car rolling through a parking lot. And then we basically almost stopped in the middle of the road. And then the jet started coming sideways across the parking lot. The parking lot is about 50 feet deep. So it came in off the shore, came over the parking lot and went over our car. We drove up the road to turn around, and I think it was Quick Clean Car Wash or something like that. So probably less than a quarter mile up the road, literally 5 buildings up the road to turn around. And by the time we got back around, the jet was gone. You know, the details that I can make out from it was the color. It was gray. I could see the individual taillights. It was close enough to the point where I could, if it was daytime out, I'd be able to make out the gender of the person driving the jet. The jet made no noise. The windows were down. It was completely silent. Like I said, the windows were down as well, so there was no downforce rotor wash coming across the car or anything like that. And like I said, by the time we actually got turned around, it was just completely gone. And that's like I said, it's not a crazy story, but I couldn't really find anything online, anything like it. So
like, it was going really slow, but then it must have went fast when you turned around, or something else.
Yeah, I mean, it just basically disappeared. Like I said, without a trace, without a noise, it came and went essentially. So I'm not sure what it was. I just know that it looked like a jet, but absolutely did not behave like it as far as flight characteristics. You know, like I said, I'm fairly familiar with, you know, the properties of jets. And it was just impossible that it was flying that fast, that low. Yeah.
How do you how have you rationalized this since? Like, how do you make sense of it?
You know, honestly, I don't know. Like I said, I know that it looked like a jet, but I'm not sure what it was as far as like what it could have been, but it certainly wasn't a jet based off its physical flight characteristics. I mean, it might have been like a hologram, even a mass hallucination or something like that. I honestly don't know. I wouldn't go as far as to say it was like UFO or anything like that, but it certainly doesn't match like a Harrier jet as far as looks goes, the sound. There's also a couple other ones, like the Osprey or something like that. It definitely wasn't that. Like I said, I know like when helicopters were coming back to the army base, you could hear them a half mile out easy.
Right.
So, but like I said, I don't know what it was. I just know what it wasn't. But
when
I know
you
what
say,
it looked like though.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. When you say hologram, is that based on things you have seen through your job, or just like things you've read?
What's up?
Like, yeah, what do you
well, I mean, they have like you know, the conspiracy of like, what is it, blue beam, so things like that.
Okay.
Possibly, you know, like I said, just, you know, more fringe stuff like alien mental projections or something like that. You know, like I said, I don't know. I know, like I said, if I was that close to it and it was a jet, I'd be deaf essentially.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like at least would have had extreme hearing loss for quite a while. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I can't think of what else it would be besides like a hologram, like I said, some type of mental implant projection. But I'm not that I actually like believe in that type of stuff or anything,
Right.
but you know, I just don't know what it could have been.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you worked at military bases?
Yeah, I used to. When I was like in my early 20s, I used to work at the Army aviation base in Concord.
What do you make of so many UFO sightings around military bases?
You know, honestly, I'm not sure what they could be, but I heard like a lot of them, like especially like alien abductions and stuff like that, are terminated by like prayer. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Oh yeah.
You know, I've had a lot of like demonic dreams sometimes, and then like I'll start praying, and then like the feeling of like essentially being taken over or being controlled like instantly ends. So, and I mean, I don't really know too many prayers, but like I said, just like invoking the name of Christ, it just like just completely dissipates. So but you know, I'm not like a huge on UFOs, but like I said, I just I'm not really too much into it. But like I said, I just know a few things about, like I said, with those kind of related things. So
yeah, no, I love hearing from people who've had a weird experience they can't explain, but also aren't too into that stuff. And they're just like, you know, they have their skepticism, but they don't know what it was. But yours is even more interesting because you have actual firsthand knowledge of these jets and stuff like that. And your experience is tied to that and makes it even weirder. But
oh yeah,
appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you for calling in.
And one other thing, like I said, also I had somebody else with me too, so it wasn't just like, you know, I was on drugs or you know, anything like that. But yeah, I appreciate you guys' time, and I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a good night. I apologize. I was still recovering from that first caller. What's happening?
You mean Sergeant Peyton?
Yeah.
I said to recover from.
Oh
that was
my
like a ton of
God.
information that the audience just got from him.
Yeah.
I highly recommend everyone looking into high jump. If you didn't listen to our episode where we talked about high jump, but
Cool.
I hope he calls back. I'm gonna have to get his books.
Shall we move on?
Oh yeah.
Okay. We got Alan coming into the room.
Sweet.
Alan, are you with us? Oh boy.
Alan, are you there?
You guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, nice.
What's up?
So I have something to say. Can you guys hear me?
Mhm.
Yes. You can't see us, but we can hear you. And,
Okay.
yeah.
So I had something to say about.
We lost you.
Did you freeze?
We have
Okay.
such bad lag.
Oh.
Well, you can just, if you can hear me right now, when I stop talking, you can take over and I will try not to interrupt you.
I just exited out of YouTube. I think I'll be okay.
Okay. So the floor is yours. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah. So I had something to say about the crop circles first. There was a lady, I can't remember her name, but she did a lot of research into the whole 9/11 thing, and she talked about dustification.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
With the buildings and how there was not as much of a seismic activity as there should have been for a building collapsing inside of its footprint like that.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to show off a technology and see if anybody could figure it out, a lot of the same technologies could have been used to fold over plants in the UK to be able to kind of make a spectacle if you were kind of using a secret technology that hadn't been used before.
Yes.
I can't remember off the top of my head who that lady is, but it's
Judy
worth
Wood?
looking into.
Yeah, I
Does
think
that
that's
sound right?
it.
Judy
Yeah.
Wood?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, she's got some really interesting videos on YouTube. Definitely recommend listening to those. But that's a good point. I never put those two together. You know, the way if we're going to say this is some weird secret tech or something doing those crop circles, they do kind of just like pulverize, disintegrate things. And if you're going to take the reports that they actually do something strange to the plant life that people can't really explain, yeah, maybe there's something there. That's an interesting connection.
Yeah, and a lot of those microspherules that they found at the 9/11 site, they also find at crop circles.
That is interesting. Is that something she said, or is that something that you've put together?
That's something that she said.
Interesting. I have to go back and
Yeah.
listen to her stuff. I remember seeing one of her, she had a long video, and I watched some of it, and I was very impressed. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's same here. So the reason I actually called in tonight is I wanted to tell you about an experience I had in my trailer that was probably the most visceral experience I've ever had with something of the paranormal variety.
Let's hear it.
This was during 2020. I had just turned 33 years old, and it was the height of the pandemic, and I was on furlough from my job. So I was like, I had nothing to do. So I was playing video games and watching YouTube at like 11:30 at night. And the TV was on. I had just turned on my video game, and it was a white loading screen. So the way my trailer is set up is I use the back door by the kitchen, bedrooms in the front. It's a 27-foot travel trailer I'm living in while I'm building a cabin. And the TV, the light shines into the bathroom, which is between the bedroom and the living room, and it kind of reflects off of the mirror above the sink, so I can see I don't turn on any lights. So I go and I'm gonna take a leak real quick before I have to start playing this video game. And so I'm taking a leak, and I kind of look up, and there's a dark wood cabinet above my toilet, and there's you know how kind of sometimes with the matte finish, you'll get that white line across the center of a cabinet where there's a reflection of light.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have like one person could be like blocking it and stuff, and that's pretty standard. Like, you know what your reflections and everything look like in where you live.
Yep.
So I'm taking a leak and I look up and there's another shadow behind me blocking the light.
Hat
from
man.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hat man.
No, there was no hat that I
Okay.
could tell.
Uh-oh.
It was basically like, I don't know if you've ever seen Full Metal Alchemist, but it was kind of like the black guy that's the truth. It was just like the vague shape of a human
Okay.
in blackness.
Okay.
And it was just a shadow, and I was like, my initial response was, I'm just going to keep peeing and hope that goes away. And so I just kept doing my business, put myself back in my drawers, and I look up and it's still there. And I kind of at that point, like, I don't know if you've ever been in like a life or death situation where it's like your life is not in your control.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately.
I've been face to face with a mountain lion in the woods, and it was like crouched down, tail flicking, and it decided not to eat me. And that was kind of the same. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. The same kind of power I felt from this thing, but I didn't feel any malevolence. It was like a loaded gun on a table. And then it was like in my head, I'm like, well, if this is how I go out, I'm going to at least see this effort before I go out. Right. And so as soon as I started to turn around, my sound bar turned off, which plunged my entire trailer into darkness. And I felt this breeze kind of blow by me, and it just left. And then the sound bar turned on and the light came back on.
Whoa. That's wild.
And it was weird because like right before I turned around, I almost got the impression like it was kind of like one of those things where you feel feelings, I guess, but it was almost like a dog cocking its head like, oh, you saw me? Kind of a thing.
Whoa.
And then as soon as I started to turn around, it was like, oh, I got to get out of here.
That's crazy. Are you the first owner of that trailer?
Yeah. Well, no, sorry, I'm not. I'm the second owner.
And was there anything weird with the previous owner?
Nope. They were still alive when I bought it.
Okay. Interesting. Had you experienced any death in the family or anything around that time?
Not around that time, but like probably about 3 years before my grandpa had passed away. But I have thought about this a ton, like really meditated on it, and it didn't feel like my grandpa.
Right.
Like my grandpa was a logger. Like I live out in Granite Falls in the Pacific Northwest. I'm about 45 minutes northeast of Everett up in the foothills, man. Okay. Like this was not a log truck driver, like the Irish immigrant that was like slogging beers. It wasn't that.
Right. You think it was like, what do you think it was?
It felt Keelian.
Can you explain that?
It felt like I observed an observer.
Interesting. And it was coming to observe you, or was it just passing through that neighborhood? Like, why do you think it was there? I don't honestly. Well,
I think I was going through a large change in my thinking at that point in my life. I was raised in a very specific way. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and I was kind of coming out of that thinking pattern at the time. That 2020 COVID kind of gave me a chance to think and like really trace down some of the questions I had.
Right.
And so I kind of think maybe it was like, oh, this guy's going through like a dark night of the soul, curiosity, trying to understand what reality really is. Let's see what he does. Like that's kind of the vibe I got.
Did it help you in your way? Did did it make you feel more confident in questioning that and moving away from that religion, or did it push you back?
It actually, it was neither. It was neutral, and it was kind of one of those things where it felt like I just had to like answer my own questions. And in all honesty, I haven't been scared of death since then.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was going to ask you how it's affected you. So were you scared of death before?
I was scared of the dying part, not the death. The witnesses have a pretty flowery view of what happens after you die.
What is it? I don't actually know.
Sorry, go ahead.
What is that? Can you tell us?
Yeah, so they basically say if you die before Armageddon, you get resurrected, and you get to be resurrected in a perfect body, and you get to like meet all of your dead loved ones in a perfect paradise earth.
Right.
Like you don't go to heaven, you don't go to hell, you're just asleep.
Didn't
and
that
then
happen
you
in
wake
Tony
up
Soprano?
and it's like, oh hey, this is awesome.
Right.
Grandma, oh we can have a foot race? Sweet.
Right. And so does that idea of the afterlife, do you still have that, or did that change?
Somewhat, but from a lot of the research and stuff that I've done, it doesn't seem like that's precisely. But I still have questions. Like I'm still in the like I don't know phase.
Yeah.
I'm smart enough to know I don't know what I know.
Yeah, and then 2020 was a crazy time to just live through.
Yeah.
Especially 33. That's a wild time, and people. There was a spike in these experiences, whether it was with entities or people seeing things in the sky. That 2020 was a very bizarre time across the whole planet.
Oh, 100%. And like it's weird because it feels like I'm one of those weird people that every like 4 to 8 years something weird happens in my life. And like that was like that hit right on that 8-year mark.
Interesting. And had anything happened since?
Yeah, actually I heard a scream in the woods on my property, like it would be a Sasquatch or some kind of spirit scream in the woods if I had to like peg it.
That's interesting.
But it was in the same spot that back in 2016, 17, I heard what sounded like a dog shaking its head in the collar, jingling, or somebody jingling change in their pocket, coming from the woods in that exact same direction.
Well, that's interesting. The woods are a strange place.
Dude, and you know what's funny? So, like, coming from the West Coast, I don't have the introduction into Appalachia and all that stuff. So my initial thought was like, oh, there's a jingle jingle. Maybe that's a stray dog. So I started whistling into the woods at night.
Interesting. How'd that work?
And that was a bad decision. It was me and my brother down there, and we had only had like a couple beers. We were just chilling, and both me and my brother kind of stood up and like goosebumps, and the Oz effect kicked in, where there were no crickets, there were no frogs, you couldn't hear the river. And we just kind of looked at each other and we were like, nah. And we just threw our chairs in the truck and doused the fire and got the hell out of there.
Yep. Yeah, I've had those experiences in the woods. You just realize, yeah, I'm not going to stay here for this. I don't need to figure out whatever that is. There's something
100%.
out there. Something out there. Well, I appreciate you calling in and sharing that story, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your show.
Thank you.
This is pretty awesome. I love being able to hear other people's experiences and stuff like that. This is great, man. I'm glad what you're doing.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. We're stoked on it.
Be safe.
All right. Of course not. That takes all the fun out of it.
Have a good night.
Bye.
That's awesome. Sick. We were hearing some strange sounds.
Is someone here?
I don't know.
Or is it
That didn't sound human. That was weird.
I don't want to know.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe it'll pop
I hope they
in.
close the door tonight.
Woo-wee. Let's go to the next caller.
All right. Let's see. Okay.
Awesome stories. You guys are the best. For those who are still who are new, who just got here, call-in show. Phone lines open. Link to call-in is pinned in the chat below on both YouTube and Rumble. We want to hear any story. There's no theme. Anything you've experienced that's weird, you can't explain. It could be anything from cryptids, abductions, sleep paralysis, you name it. We've had someone call a werewolf in the background. But let's go to our next caller.
I'm Erp.
Is that right? I don't know how I got that from anything, but yeah. So my whole thing is, this is all a simulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of these things happen to all of us, no matter where we are, because this is ultimately a simulation.
What's your take on the simulation? Like, you see it as a computer simulation?
Well, it doesn't have to be computer. It doesn't have to be anything that we understand, right? Because it's beyond our understanding. It's
right.
God or computer simulation or whatever,
Yeah, because
the way that intelligence goes is, you get bored because you get so fucking smart, so you got to create a fucking false environment. We do that with video games all the time, right?
Yeah, there's people who believe, just for those who don't know, there's people who believe that they're literally in a simulation of zeros and ones that a computer created. But
I have a son, so it's of course more than zeros and ones. There's obviously something real about the simulation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Very real.
I think so. My idea of the simulation is just a little different. Is like that we are with God, because that could be, people would be like, well, that's like a simulator making a simulation. But I think there's also like this false reality thrown on top of it. But I don't want to take away from your story. But I
agree with you. I think that's something we should explore more. Is we have these different religions that say that God is this specific thing, but what if it's just there is a God, no one will ever understand it, and I think that we need to break that idea that any of us understand anything,
Oh yeah, we're just
there's a certain God that is the right God, or any of that, because there's something deeper to it. There's something that none of us will ever understand, no matter what we believe in.
Yeah, I mean, even if you believe, like, I'm a Christian, I'm still new to it, but
I grew up Christian. I love the teachings of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a brilliant guy. I don't believe in deities and shit like that. So,
right.
But
I just want to say really quick, like, it's also good and human to question things, especially people around you who pretend to be the authority on certain things. Just think of someone like a Flannery O'Connor character who was a Christian, but wrote about the need to question the people in your life who claim to be a certain way. And that's a very important thing to bring into the table, especially when you're raising kids.
I think it's more important to just try to understand other people's reality. I'm not a very empathetic person, but I do understand that people have completely different lives than I have.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's kind of part of the simulation too. I'm sorry.
No, it's awesome.
A little lit and sad. And Cashman, I saw you on Tim Pool's show a couple times. You seem like a really down to earth, like you just want to understand shit kind of guy.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just popped up on my feed on Rumble, and I dialed in. And thanks for talking to me, my friend.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you have anything else you want to add, or anything weird about the simulation? Because when you first said that, it just made me think about all the weird synchronicities in this life, and all that weird stuff. So if you had anything about that.
When I realized it was a simulation, I could go really into it. I just saw this Jeep, like, a Jeep didn't have any top, and it had like this redneck guy driving past me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on my way to one of my customers, and I took a right, and it passed me again. And there's no way it could have, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, of course, simulation, right?
Yes, that's weird.
And that's what just proved it to me, that one instant.
Yeah.
And now I have a 10-year-old son, and I talked to him about it. I'm like, this is all a simulation, right? He's like, Dad, that's really scary. Don't talk to me about that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it makes life any more or less valuable.
Yeah, because we're having experiences. I mean, there are people out there who are not having kids and are not understanding the true value and beauty of life. I'm not saying that you have to have them, but I do think it is.
You don't have to.
The
you
greatest.
Just have to understand the beauty of life. But even if it is a simulation or it's not, it's still fucking beautiful.
It's our experience. It's like that scene in The Matrix.
It's right here in front of us. You know?
Yep. It's like how a dream feels real when you're in it. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
And you feel like when you wake up from a bad dream, you feel that fear for a little bit because it felt very real. But you, on the flip side, can feel that love. But as crazy and weird as this world is, and we don't understand it because we're just little humans, it's a completely beautiful and crazy place. And those little things like you're talking about with that Jeep,
and
wild.
Fucking infinite.
Yeah. It's just
it literally is infinite.
Yeah.
You can literally do whatever the fuck you want to do. You're gonna have to face the consequences, or you're gonna reap the benefits. You know, one way or another.
Shouldn't do anything.
Whatever the fuck you want to do.
Maybe not everything, but you should definitely go wild and do your things and be authentic and try to live a good life and make it a better world and be as authentic as possible, which is a dying thing these days.
I don't think so. I think the pendulum swings well. And, all the chaos becomes order eventually, and all the order becomes chaos. You know, I think we're doing pretty good right now.
Yeah. Despite all the wild stuff, because you're raising a kid. I have a kid about the same age. It's like the world is crazy, but you're also giving them this world, and you're telling them it's also amazing.
Well, what I like is I'm still surprised about things.
Yeah, that's important, man. That's very important. Always gotta be surprised. Once you get numb to it, then you lose a lot of that meaning and the fun, and you want your children to inherit that from you. You know.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important.
Certainly.
Well, I appreciate you calling in, man.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll talk to you soon. This is really cool, man.
Yeah, call back. We're here.
All right.
Have a good night. You tell your kids
what?
How deep you get with your kids yet?
Oh, we don't get deep yet. We're talking about God, but we're
okay. That's good.
We're 3 and 5 years
my
old.
My 9-year-old.
As good as...
I do not sit my 9-year-old down and talk about the JFK assassination. I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't.
He just overhears you on your
he
daily
doesn't.
calls.
He doesn't know. He knows that I do a show and there's I talk about interesting things like weird stuff, but I don't get into it with him. To a degree, though, he knows about clouds.
Yeah.
And he questions about dinosaurs. But he asked me the other day out of the total blue. He's like, "Who is the most famous assassin?" I think he was probably thinking about it because he maybe heard the news. Like, we don't have a TV, but someone at school said something about news or at camp, and I was like, "Well, probably I guess Lee Harvey Oswald, maybe John Wilkes Booth." But I said Lee Harvey Oswald, and he goes, "Yeah, but was he really?" The assassin? I'm like, what?
Whoa.
I'm like, this is my son.
He's born with it.
I was so happy. I'm like, well, that is a great question.
Oh, I love it. And did you get into it?
I didn't get that far into it, but I was like, there are very valid questions there.
I love it.
Yep. And this is a Zapruder film. No, we didn't get that far. But soon enough.
Well, Rumble Rant's propaganda report says it's Binkley from Bro Grove. Great show, man. Love the Art Bell vibes.
This guy is the man. Everyone should look up the propaganda report. Brad opened up for Tripoli at Bohemian Grove. Amazing. Great comedian. He has a ton of information. People should check him out. He should be on the show at some point because we got deep into some stuff at the show, but also a funny guy. And he actually came with the Trump impersonator who we had come up and read the True Social post that second night. So sweet. Thanks, cool. Brad.
We also have another one from Libertarian Hawk. This is a third of the night, I think. Shane, that you can take this all so calmly is extremely impressive.
Thank you. Are you talking about the sergeant? The sergeant was amazing.
I think it's everything.
No.
A little bit of everything.
That sergeant was the shit. Oh, I love that guy. I hope he calls back, honestly. I have a ton of questions. And I want pictures. I want video from Base 211. So I'm going to ask that now if he's listening. Sergeant from the Fourth Reich, who is a dual citizen and living in Houston, splitting his time between here and Base 211. We want videos.
Yeah.
From below the surface of Antarctica. Well, let's go to the next caller.
Sure. We got Daryl. I can't remember anymore who we've taken, not taken. Sometimes people just stick
I don't think
around.
we have Daryl yet. Let's do it. What up, Daryl? Are you there?
He's there.
I am here.
Sick. What's up, man?
Hey, I'm a Libertarian Hawk / Dadosa Prime.
Rad. Awesome. Well, thank you for those, and thanks for calling in.
Yep, I'm gonna mute this I'm gonna mute the Rumble real quick.
Cool.
All right, perfect. So, I wrote a book awoken a modern mythical story,
Mm.
and I was just writing it because I'm also kind of a game designer. So I wanted to create a game where players could um, play mythical creatures like vampires, werewolves, that sort of genre. But that's not the interesting part. So as I was writing this book, I was kind of developing the ideas of how these creatures came into existence, and I had this whole idea of souls and how souls influence who we are, what we are. And then the strange part was I started having, kind of, weird dreams. And I started imagining like how the universe started and how the Big Bang happened and how that kind of ties into everything. So these dreams were basically telling me that the Big Bang started, I don't know if you guys believe in multiverses and all that sort of stuff, but so what I was dreaming was that before our universe, there was two other universes and they kind of grew together, and that created the Big Bang. And the beings and matter from these two universes, one was a universe of light and beings of creation and goodness. The other universe was a universe of darkness, where the beings were not evil per se, but they're just completely alien to anything that we could imagine. And they got trapped. Beings of light got trapped in our in this new universe, and beings of darkness got trapped in this new universe. Well, the beings of darkness were driven slowly insane over millennia, and the beings of light formed stars, and these stars became gods. And in their universe, they believed in creation and knowledge, and that knowledge was the ultimate power. So they started creating solar systems, and they became the gods. And so the whole thing just kind of started to be more of a spiritual sort of um, view of what God and the universe and all that, how that all kind of ties together. So if you picture it as these beings of light are trapped in this new universe, which is a mix of light and dark, the dark between each of these stars, and these beings were, adrift and, in slumber, and so uh, they started creating things around them, pulling in, matter from the dark matter around them, and stardust, and started creating, first planets, and then, organisms, and eventually, intelligent beings. And what gives intelligent beings the spark of life is that these gods would take a piece of themselves and imbue it in this newborn physical form, and that would give them basically a link to God. And so the point of life, the universe, and everything is so that these gods could expand knowledge, and as they became more knowledgeable, they became more powerful. And so that was their whole purpose of creating life. And anyway, so the books and the game, which was, sort of became a, more of a side as I was delving into this, life, to quote Douglas Adams, life, the universe, and everything. And so it just it gave me a new perspective on religion and spirituality, and it came to me in dreams. And these were, I'm not anything special, but I think that that we all have this divine spark in us. That's what gives us a soul. And when we die, this is especially, my mother just died on May 28th. And,
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was really tough. And actually, I got to call out Tim Pool and his Discord, because we were having some serious financial problems, and Tim and the Discord really came together and and bailed us out. And so I can't say anything. I can't say enough good stuff about Tim and Serge and the whole Discord over there.
Yeah,
but anyway,
awesome.
but not to go off topic, but anyway, so this became more of kind of a spiritual journey for me. So now I'm working on, I'm writing. The first book was Awoken, a Modern Mythical Story, and it was about basically witches. In the way that these beings became mythical creatures is that aliens. I love Atlantis. I love that whole story and myth.
Oh yeah.
So I'm kind of wandering here a little bit. So
no, it's okay.
do you want to? Do you have a question?
Oh
or something
yeah.
Just to focus me?
Yeah, I was curious about these two worlds that you're describing. Are they merged in your theory, or are they two separate? Like you said, multiverse. Are they separate universes, like mirrored each other?
There were two mirrored universes. There is a theory, and I always butcher it, but there's this. It's a real scientific theory where you imagine like a kind of like a donut, and this donut is sliced into each little layer of it is another universe, and they just kind of all stack around each other. And so in this theory that two of these universes that were kind of mirrors of each other touched, and when they touched, it caused the Big Bang, and that instance of two different universes coming together pulled a great deal of mass from both of these two other universes and formed our universes, which is why we're basically the Big Bang. We're expanding away from that point of contact with all the matter, and so there's a war between light and dark, because the beings of darkness, demons, whatever, in my book, it's darkling, because I didn't want to, get into the, I don't want to. Christians, Muslims, a lot of people get really upset when you start, talking about, God and demon. And so in the book, I try to keep it light, and I just use darkness and light. Because I think that's really the key in the universe. Is I think there's forces of darkness and forces of light. And whether you want to call the forces of darkness, demons, the devil, or whatever, they basically represent entropy and destruction and chaos. And the beings of light represent creation, love, growth and knowledge. And so there's this war, because the forces of darkness, the creatures of darkness, the light is basically burning them. It drove them. Like, I don't believe that they were evil in their own universe. I think that they were driven insane and to rage by this light that was constantly burning them for millennia, and so eventually that turned into a war between light and darkness.
Well, it's like one of my favorite things ever written was Paradise Lost, and that's a great depiction of a battle between good and evil. I love those things. But when you were talking about the gods in your vision of this light and dark world, do you kind of connect that to then old mythology, like say Greek gods? Is that like, do you align that vision with things like that story, those stories?
Not in the sense, in the kind of the dreams and the where I was. I mean, I'm serious. I would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would just have to start writing. And it wasn't about my book or my story. It was the spiritual aspect of it that I had never really thought of before. And so the whole point of God, our God, and, I do believe in God, and I think Christianity you know, has a lot of it right. I think the only thing I kind of disagree is I don't believe that it's, you know, one God of the entire universe. I think that there are, you know, I think there are, I guess it's polytheist, but I think each God has a realm. It's his domain, and the solar system is his domain. And the creatures of darkness, you know, they're out there between each of the various domains of the gods, and they stop them from interacting and coming together. And that's part of the whole war between light and dark is, you know, anyway, so God, when a person is born, or you know, animals or whatever, that it imbues a spark of its being into them to give them their soul. And as you live your whole life, you are gaining knowledges and experiences. Because one of the problems I always had with Christianity is that, um, you know, ironically, my dad's family were Jehovah's Witnesses. So that last caller, I was like, man, I'm embarrassed to say this now, but but my dad's family, they were Jehovah's Witnesses. My mother's family, they were Baptists. So, but I always had an issue with Christianity, with their belief that you know, there's a plan, and you know, all the suffering and all this, it never made any sense to me that this was a plan. Why would you have a plan for this if you're omniscient and you know the path of the future? And you know, I've had the discussions with, you know, the Christians and theologians, and their, you know, their explanations of why God allows suffering and all that. And but the whole idea of
free will,
the whole idea of choice kind of gets defeated if there's a plan. So I always had an issue with that part of Christianity. I think this theory.
Yeah, I was real quick. I was just saying the other day, actually, because I do believe in God and I believe in Christ, and I believe in free will. But if you also believe in an omniscient God, you kind of have to believe that we have infinite free will, but it's also an omniscient God would know all those paths at the same time. So you kind of have to balance this idea of like, maybe it's an illusion of free will, but you also have free will to make those decisions and go down those paths, in my opinion. But they're also infinitely laid out. But I know that that's like it's a weird thing to balance. That's what makes the most sense to me now, though.
Does that, in your theory, you know, you've heard the multiverse theory, where every time you make a decision, it creates a new universe?
Yep.
Okay. Well, so where I kind of am falling is that I believe that God creates us so that we will learn, and I don't believe it's omniscient. I believe that it becomes greater the more knowledge it gets. So it creates us with this soul, and then we live our lives. We experience all these things. We experience the beauty of, you know, I have two sons. They're 10 and 12.
Amazing.
And the beauty of that, but we also deal with the suffering of losing, you know, a mother, or, you know, losing, you know, a child, which I can't even.
Oh yeah.
Totally. I can't even imagine.
Unbelievable.
But if the purpose of life and existence is to learn and grow knowledge, and when we die, our soul, which kind of ties into a lot of the Christian beliefs, and, you know, going to heaven, when we die, you know, I view it as an upload. We are uploading our souls back to God because he gave us our souls. And that soul is basically a divine hard drive, you know, to put it in modern parlance. It's a divine hard drive. And when we die, that hard drive uploads back to God, because ultimately we are a piece of God. And so he's taking back what he gave us at birth, and that helps him, you know, it's beyond our comprehension. That allows it to grow more powerful, more knowledgeable, and you know, and spread its energy through the universe, I guess. I don't know.
In your this vision of the light and dark worlds, is there a goal for like one side? Like you said, there's a battle. So it's like, is there a battle for the darkness to take over the lightness, and then they just rule over that as darkness, or How do you see that?
And so the way that the way that plays out in the world is that, we all know these people that they're broken. And it's my theory that all of us are born of the light, but as we live our lives, these forces of darkness, and I do believe in possession and all of that, and I think these beings of darkness, they have learned that they can't directly assault God because of his light and his grace and it's divine radiance. So they have to basically cut off the souls that would be returning to him. And so they want to corrupt souls and turn them away from the light to darkness. And when they do that, once a person's soul turns to darkness, they're no longer connected to God. That's the reason why you see these people who are serial killers, these people who are child molesters, these people who are, just abjectly evil and cruel for no reason whatsoever. It's because they no longer have that light in their soul that God gave us at birth. And that's the point of the darkness, is that they want to sever as many souls from returning to God that they can.
Well, I totally agree with that. Have you read the Screw Tape Letters?
The what letters?
The Screw Tape Letters.
No, I have not.
That's one of my favorite books.
I'm gonna write it down.
So C.S. Lewis wrote it. He did like the Chronicles of Narnia.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a short book. It's a great book, but it's describing exactly what you're saying. It's letters between two demons who are trying to coerce their subjects into sinning or doing these dark things, because is really like what you just described. It's an amazing book. But it's from the Christian perspective. C.S. Lewis was an atheist who then eventually was saved, right. But he's one of my favorite writers, someone I liked even before I was Christian. But it's when you're thinking about light and darkness and that battle, I think about that all the time. He puts it in very plain, in a really good way, as you're looking at it through the lens of two demons who are just conversing. It's amazing.
Did you see that movie that just came out?
Which one?
I can't remember the name, but basically there's a guy in prison that I'm looking at the screen and it looks like you're moving. So I'm not sure when you're talking or not.
Oh, no, sorry.
But anyway, so in this movie, there's this guy in prison, and this psychiatrist comes in to interview him because they're trying to determine if they're going to put him in prison or not. And the guy says, he's saying he's a demon, and it's a recent movie. It was like about a year or two ago. I'm pretty sure Tim talked about it a while back.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think some people have recommended that to me. I have not seen it. I think it starts with like an N, right?
Yeah. And that's it. And that's the whole thing, is the guy says he's a demon, and he's gonna corrupt the guy and get him to kill 3 people, and but it's very similar sort of situation.
I gotta watch that. Well, I really appreciate you calling in and sharing this idea with us and all that stuff. And feel free to call back any other time, continue this conversation. And if you happen to read the Screw Tape Letters, let me know what you think.
I will. Can I do one quick shout out?
Of course.
My book is Awoken, a Modern Mythical Story, on Amazon. I'm Dadosa Prime everywhere. And so on X and Rumble and everywhere else, if anybody could follow me, that'd be awesome. But thank you so much, Shane. Love your show.
Thank you.
Love you on Timcast. I love your whole Timcast family. So thanks for you guys have done a lot for me. So thank you for everything.
Awesome.
Have a good night.
You too. Really appreciate that. That's awesome. You guys are the best. I love that.
Great callers tonight.
Yeah, man, the callers. You guys are the best. We'll try to take one more. Do we have?
I'm trying to see this movie, if we can find this movie. Stranger Than We Can.
No. It starts with an N. I always space the name, but there's been a few callers who've recommended it, and I need to watch it. But it looks like a heavy one.
So, do we want to try Danny again, or does Zachary's kind of been waiting for a while?
We owe it to Danny to give him one more chance tonight.
All right, Zachary, call back tomorrow if you can.
Unless Danny's not there.
Unless Danny's not here.
Because this will be our 4th or 5th time trying Danny.
Here we go. We're going to try it.
Okay. Let's do it.
I'm scared. Danny, are you
here.
Oh my gosh. What's up, Danny?
I made it. I've been avoiding using Zoom for a decade, and now because of your show, I had to download it. So
I'm so sorry. Well, we're glad you're finally here, man. Thanks for waiting on us. The floor is yours. Tell us your story.
thanks for not giving up on me. I saw the look on her face, 3 times. She was done.
She was almost done. I was like, nah, we got to get Danny in here.
I've been watching Timcast. I'm from Portland since he was holding a cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
And I leave that show now to watch yours when you do. So just fun watching this show, and it's a change of pace and outside of politics and stuff. So
yeah, man,
keep it going.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So I'll call back a bunch of times because I got, when I started watching a show, I started writing down, like, trying to get a timeline of things I've seen, because I've seen a lot of things through my life. And, I don't walk around thinking about this stuff. I live in like a 1920s farmhouse that was the first schoolhouse of this small town. Like, I go down in the creepy basement. I don't like think I'm going to see a ghost or anything. So it's not something that really, day by day or something I really think about. But when you start thinking about one story, it leads to another and another.
Oh yeah.
And so on. So I made notes just so I could remember what I called in about and what I didn't. So I have a pretty cool ghost story for you.
Love it. Let's hear it.
And it has an address. I don't know if you want to look it up. It kind of makes more sense when you look at it.
Yeah. We're not doxing anyone, right?
No. This is just an address. I don't know who it's in a neighborhood. I was 15 when this happened. That was like 20 years ago.
So someone probably living there now, though.
Yeah, it is a house. It is a house in a neighborhood.
I would love to see it, but I'd rather maybe we shouldn't put out the address just because there's a lot of people.
Okay, so I'll explain it with the address, but you've probably seen houses before that look like barns, right?
Yep.
Like the 2-floor barn style, and then they put a porch on the front.
Oh yeah, of course.
So when I was 15, I had to move in with my cousins. It was a pretty busy house, like 6 kids, crazy. Everybody's in sports. It's just kind of a busy, wild house.
Yep.
And I'd lived there probably 6 months, and I was at home. I'd popped a blood vessel in my eye, so I was at home with my aunt alone, and nobody else was in the house. She was upstairs sleeping. And this house is a 3-floor house, and the basement, it's like a rectangle shape. And the stairs are on one side, and you go down the basement, you go all the way to the back side. There's no windows or anything to get out. It has those little tiny windows. And I used to iron all my clothes. So I'm over there ironing my clothes, and I step outside of this little brick wall that was like blocking my view from the stairs. And I see this like dude standing there. He's in overalls and like a checkered shirt, looked like an old, fat white farmer guy. And I knew he wasn't supposed to be there. I'd never seen him before. So my first reaction was like anger, like, what are you doing down here? But before I could really say anything, I had all my clothes stacked up in my hand, like a bunch of jeans and stuff I'd ironed. And being there with 6 kids, you end up with a bunch of games and junk and bikes and stuff. It was all piled up against the wall.
Right.
He was real enough to be there, but translucent enough where I could see that stuff behind him or through him. Once I realized that I could see through this, what first take looked like a real person standing there. There was no way to get out of the basement but through him. He was standing right at the base of the stairs. So I took all my clothes and threw them up in the air and ran through the clothes so I didn't have to run at him. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Just to block my view or whatever. I don't know why I did that, but that's how I reacted.
Yeah, it makes sense in the moment.
When I passed through where this thing was standing, because I ran fast enough to like fight my way through the clothes that were in the air. So I didn't like see him as I was running through them or nothing. But when I hit the bottom of the stairs, it's kind of L-shaped and it heads upstairs. I lost all the heat from my body. It was like I was freezing cold, like I jumped in ice cold water. I just had nothing. I was shivering and shaking. I was crawling my way up the stairs just out of pure fear. And I get to the top of the stairs and I slam the door behind me and I put my back against it and I kind of use my weight and push up against this. The wall was close enough I could touch with my feet. And I'm like holding the door shut. and then I could almost feel like just from my feet all the way up to my head, like the warmth come back, and now I'm able to like move again. So I run upstairs to my aunt, and she's kind of a, I don't know, big lady and lazy, and she's just kind of laying there in bed, and I'm grabbing her and I'm shaking her and I'm freaking out, and she doesn't understand what I'm saying. I'm like, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. And, you know, she wouldn't budge, and I couldn't lift her, but I needed to take her with me is what I was feeling at the time, you know. And then I told her what I saw, and she goes, oh, just calm down. That's John. We've all seen him, you know, and so I'm like, screw this. I'm out of here. So I took off for a couple of days.
Wow.
And, I wouldn't come home. I had a girlfriend that lived close, and I stayed there and refused to come home. And, but I was kind of forced to come home. I was on a probation, so I had to be at that address. So I had to come back to this house, or like, you know, go to jail.
You're right. Yep.
And so I go back to this address, right, or to my cousin's house, and my cousins there's 6 of them in the house. Some of them are young, but there's 3 or 4 of them that are around my age. I was 15 and 15, 16-ish. And none of them would admit to seeing him or anything like that. But my neighbor had across the street, this is why I was going to show you the address, because there's this house and there's a house across the street, had recently had a kitchen fire. And when fire and water restoration came in, excuse me, it was just a kind of minor fire, but it blackened the whole kitchen, and you know, they had to like repaint and do all that stuff. So in doing that, they went in the attic, and in the attic they found a book, and they gave them the book. As after they cleaned everything up, they showed them this book, and they're like, they never seen this thing before. It was just up in the attic, like under some insulation. And in that book, so when I go tell them this story, they all kind of pause and they say, go get the book. And so they go get this book and they lay it on the table, and I open this book, and there's an old time photograph. The first thing I see is like a land map, and it shows like almost like a hand drawn type of surveyor's land map. And it shows, you know, a farm and a barn and stuff. Well, it turns out that house that caught on fire used to be the farmhouse of this property. That what's now a house across the street used to be like down at the end of this cul-de-sac, probably, I don't know, 200 feet away from this house. But in the 1900s, the ground was sinking, and so they moved the barn closer to the house to solid ground to save it.
Okay.
It was like dismantled and reassembled or something.
Okay.
All this information came from this book that's like telling this story, and it has this old photograph. And the photograph was of the guy that I saw in the basement. So I had like now physical proof that like I didn't just see a thing, you know. It was like something to confirm it, because you do everything you can to like dismiss it and play it off, or you know, you just. And it took about probably, I don't know, another 6 months or a year or so. And my other cousins started telling me, yeah, they've all seen him, but they don't talk about him or mention him, because when you do, he shows up more often. And if you ignore him completely, it just kind of goes away.
Wow.
And what I kind of think about this is that guy must have, I don't know how much work he put into that property, or it just seemed like, I don't know, it didn't say anything. It was just kind of standing there. It wasn't like moving or anything. It was just like an image of a man, but he was more there than not, was the freaky part, you know?
Wow. Did your aunt ever tell you about her stories with John?
No, she just said that they seen him. There was no like other stories from the cousins. He appeared in the hallway a lot. There's like a bunch of rooms upstairs, and you'd open your door. They all kind of the doors were all close to each other, and people would open the door and he'd be standing there. And so that was mainly like what they had seen, but nothing really like me. Just open the door at night to go pee, and he'd be there. And to them, it always happened at night. To me, it was like, I don't know, midday.
Yeah, that's wild. I was writing down notes. I was going to ask you if you had felt a temperature change, right as you told us your very dramatic feeling of losing the heat in your body as you walk through them.
It makes me shake just to tell it, man, because it's like, this is one of those things. I've told this story probably, I don't know, 10 times since, and you feel like you're reliving it again, and then tomorrow I won't remember it again for a year until it comes up. You know, it's like one of those things.
Must have looked pretty crazy to be you with a bloodshot eye seeing a ghost and then going upstairs and telling your aunt you just saw a ghost, and then she responds with a very nonchalant, "That's just John."
Yeah, she was a little crazy, you know, kind of in general, but yeah, it was like, you know, and I didn't want to go back to that house so bad, but I was facing like 2 years of, you know, as a 15-year-old going to jail for 2 years if I didn't. So I was like, I had nowhere else to be, but
probation.
If I had anywhere else to be, I would have never went back to that house. But you know, that book probably still exists.
Yeah, man, if there's a way to get a hold of that book and you want to call in and tell us about it, that'd be sick.
I don't know if there's a way for me to send you a message others can't read for that address. You can see like the two houses and like the one that looks like you clearly, if you looked at it now, you'd be like, oh yeah, I could see where that was a barn. It was just turned into a house eventually.
Yeah, I mean, you can send me a DM on Twitter if you're on Twitter or Instagram, and I can check it out, and then we can try to pull it up maybe tomorrow or something. But the book would be very interesting. I mean, the fact that you got proof of an image of John is pretty wild. And I think you're onto something about just a man building his place and then just kind of like he's maybe tethered to it. It's his anchor and he can't really leave it. I don't know why he chose to see you in the daylight, you know, and freak you out like that, even though like he didn't do anything to freak you out. It's just his appearance, right?
Yeah, he was just standing at the base of the stairs, just looking at me basically. But I'd been down there for hours. I was like a meticulous, you know, I ironed all my clothes. So it was like hours worth of me standing behind this like brick chimney. So when I stepped out with all that stuff done and I had it all stacked up in my arms, that was all I could think was to do was throw it at him, you know, but
maybe he was like, this person actually puts effort into things to make nice. You know, I've never, you know, ironed that much in my life. So he's probably like, man, this is a person I can relate to. I'm going to scare him now.
I have no idea. But when I saw that picture, man, it was like the blood dropped from my face again. And it was like, you know, holy shit. It's like the same kind of, I don't know when the picture was taken, but it was early 1900s. And it just kind of shows how like the house I'm living in now, this town was, this used to be a schoolhouse. And it was like, you know what happened in schoolhouses in the early 1900s.
I mean,
and I've never seen anything here. I mean, that's where the sick went. Everything happened at schoolhouses at that time. So,
yeah, well, that's incredible. That's a great ghost story. Really appreciate it. And I know you said you had others, so please call back when you can, and we'll hear more.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course, man.
Glad you figured it out.
Yeah. Till next time, man. Thank you.
Bye.
Incredible. So for those we did not get to, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Zachary and Music Phil is good. You guys call back tomorrow.
Please call back tomorrow if you can.
Before we end tonight, I do want to pull this up. This was someone in our chat had told me to look up Harry Pack.
It's the crop circle.
Yes, it is. Just
it's
to bring
the
it back.
crop circle. Look at that.
Isn't that weird?
When is this from?
Oh, I don't know when it's from.
Did Ian make this?
Is this
Ian
article
Crossland's mind? That's
Harry
wild.
Packard.
Okay, this person
like a whole
has a
thing.
sharp observation. That face is very similar
It
to
is
the
very
crop
similar.
circle.
Yeah,
Good
look at this here.
Call.
With the horns and everything.
That's literally it. Huh.
So,
I wonder if this is based on another image from something else it's like a interpretation of another image, but that is it's very close.
Yeah. So
wow. Good job. Thanks for sending that in.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, incredible callers.
Great callers tonight.
You guys are the best. Again, apologies to those we didn't get to. I hope you can call back tomorrow. If not tomorrow, we are here Thursday as well. And maybe Brandon's back tomorrow. Do we know?
Maybe Brandon is back tomorrow, so I probably won't be here. I don't know when I'll see everybody again, but thank you for letting me sit in. This has been fun.
So nice having you back in the room.
It's been great.
You were killing it. It's great seeing you. Let them know where they can find you.
I am Alex Ayala on X sometimes.
I am Shane Cashman everywhere online. I can't thank you guys enough for liking, subscribing, sharing the show, and calling in, watching. It's amazing. I'm very, very grateful for it. So we will return tomorrow with more stories, and we'll see you guys then. Have a good one.